Hi, I'm Keith. Please like and subscribe. Recently, Fandango polled 9,000 people as to what the most anticipated film is of 2025. I looked at the list and honestly it was a little bit, interesting. So there's more here. I dug down into a little bit of the details, no spoilers as to what the movies are, what their stories are, but this is absolutely fascinating. So here we go. 28 years later. So this is the sequel to the famous 28 Days Later. It was directed by Danny Boyle and he's directing this. So Danny Boyle has come back after his Superstar. When he did 28 Days Later, he was sort of not really known. Now he's like a super decorated director. He's like absolutely fantastic. So he's coming back to do 28 Years Later. The film comes out June 20th. 2025. So middle of the year. So still a while away, but that was the 10th most anticipated film. It's fascinating because 28 Days Later is one of the films credited with the whole zombie revolution in media where it was the most popular thing. Everything was zombies. This was one of the films that elevated zombies as a genre to sort of the mainstream, where it wasn't just sort of niche horror, sort of cheap movies. It was like a big project. They were dramatic. There's a whole thematic gravitas to the zombies and what they represented. So it's fantastic they're coming back now. This is an absolutely fantastic project. So that's exciting. So that's number 10. Okay, number 9 was Superman. So 2025, you have a Superman film coming out. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this, and this seems pretty low on this list. I mean, 9th, that's kind of crazy because I don't think the people making the Superman movie thought that if they polled people that they'd be one of the least most anticipated films. So, so slightly what's going on with this film. So James Gunn, he did the most recent Suicide Squad film, but he's more famous for the Guardians of the Galaxies movies. And he did a great job on those, and now he's back. He's doing Superman. So he's sort of been, this is sort of considered to be the elevating of James Gunn. And there's a lot of interest about this film, or apparently there was. So it's really interesting. Now, this film comes out July 11th, okay, 2025, July 11th. So again, middle of the year, so we're still a while away. But yeah, interesting. Not as much interest. I think it's because people still feel like there's no closure on Henry Cavill as Superman. It's like Henry Cavill hardly even got to play the character at all. The second he started playing it, that's it. They took the movies away. They went on these big, long hiatus. Then they said, okay, now they're not coming back. But now they are coming back with a Superman film. So it's a little all over the place. But yeah, so 9th most anticipated. I think the very fact that it's the 9th most anticipated for me makes it even more anticipated because it's so odd that was so low on the list. So there you go. Okay, number 8, The Accountant 2. So this is more anticipated than Superman and 28 Years Later. Interesting. Now, The Accountant 1 was a film that came out in 2016, and I was unaware that really anybody even saw this film. I've seen it, but this comes out April 2025. Okay, so, not that far from now. Ben Affleck coming back to play the character, and some of the other actors too coming back. So it's interesting. I hope it's going to be good. Now, 2016, so they did this film a while ago, the original film, and so now it's getting a sequel. It's really interesting. This is not a film that I would have thought would have even received a sequel. So, it's interesting. And that's the 8th most anticipated. I wouldn't have thought that would even have made the list, to be completely honest with you. And so, it's really interesting. But when it comes out, I'm probably going to see it. So Accountant 2, there you go. Okay, number 7, Wicked 2. Now, I can't believe this isn't higher on the list. Wicked 1 came out very recently, and it was a super success. Now, technically, this is Wicked Part 2. Now, when the film was originally conceived, the makers of the film said that the story was too big to just do in one movie. So they broke it into 2 parts. Okay, so I don't think most people even realize that. Here's the thing. I think most people didn't realize that because the stage play that this comes from, the musical that it comes from, is not in 2 parts. It's one musical as far as I'm aware. So, I don't know. So the fact that they broke it into 2 films is sort of interesting. I think that's probably just because they're films and they sort of looked at it like they could do 2 films because Wicked is such a successful musical franchise. Yeah, so this things that Wicked Part 1 was a huge success. So obviously Part 2 is going to be hugely anticipated. So it's fascinating. I think the film, essentially they would have filmed them back to back. So it really is going to be a continuation of the film that just came out recently. Now this film, they say, comes out November 21st, 2025. So this is a long time from now. Basically, the films are coming out essentially a year apart from each other. So, but I think it's a great idea to do it as two films, especially if the first one was extremely successful. Now they're going to do the second one. It's just a great idea. So it's it looks like everything is working out for the Wicked franchise. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if this part 2 is probably going to be even more successful than the first part, just because it's going to carry that momentum through. I think that you're going to see they'll probably do more. They'll do a Wicked 3 and 4 and 5 and all kinds of crazy things. And honestly, if the films are great, then that's exactly what they should do. Okay, number 6. Avatar: Fire and Ash. Okay, so now this is one of the Avatar movies. James Cameron, of course, the Avatar, most successful film of all time. And they went away for a long time between the first film and the second film coming out. Now they have Avatar: Fire and Ash coming out. And this comes out December 19th. 2025. Okay, so end of the year. It's almost like Star Wars, where right at the end of the year they put out a film. And so this is going to be the sequel to the previous film, which was frankly excellent. So this is really fascinating. The Avatar films are unbelievably successful. They're like ridiculously successful. Whenever I talk to people about the Avatar films, there doesn't seem to be an equal amount of enthusiasm when people talk about Avatar as how successful the films are. The films are like unbelievably successful. You'd think it's all anyone would be talking about. No one really talks about them. But then the film comes out and it's super successful. So it's interesting here that it's number 6 most anticipated. Because you'd think it's like that's an odd sort of way. It's like I'd think either it'd be like the 10th most anticipated or a number 1 by far and away number 1. So, but Avatar: Fire and Ash, number 6. It's really interesting, and this is going to be. I mean, at this point with these movies, they take such long breaks, and no one knows when they're coming out. Who knows if this will be the last one, or if they're going to continue on. Maybe it'll be successful, maybe it won't. It doesn't seem to matter. James Cameron just seems to make them. He has more power than required to make as many sequels to Avatar as he pleases. So absolutely fascinating. Avatar: Fire and Ash, number 6. Number 5 is Fantastic Four. Okay, now this is like I'm stunned that this is on here at number 5. It doesn't make any sense to me that this would be just 5th on the list. Because I just assumed this would be far and away number 1. This is the movie that everybody has been calling for forever. They're actually making it. It's coming out in 2025, and there's like no anticipation, no excitement. Like that just, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so this is technically it's called the Fantastic Four: First Steps. Okay, so that's what the film is. Now, I think there was a lot of talk about how does this film fit into all the Marvel stuff, and is this going to be like the Avengers film or something like that? And but the point is that Marvel Studios now has the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four is the comic book that everyone has wanted to be turned into a fantastic movie really forever, since the beginning of these superhero movies. It's been not really very successful, and the films really have been not well received since they started, but now it looks like the Fantastic Four is finally going to get a sensational film. So it's really, really exciting. And I don't know. I can't believe that this isn't higher on the list. So number 5, Fantastic Four. Crazy. Now this film comes out July 25th, 2025. So middle of the year. Okay, so this is not that long from now. So I can't believe there isn't more excitement for this one. I figured if someone had shown me a list of it, I'd have said this is probably going to be number 1. This is what everybody wants, apparently, or apparently not. Or they wanted a little bit, but not number 1. So there you go. Okay, number 4, Ballerina. So Ballerina, it's like, what is this? What is this film? So technically the film title is From the World of John Wick, Ballerina. So this is the Ana de Armas film. She's starring in it, so it's not Keanu Reeves. This is like a spin-off, but it's really anticipated because people have thought that Ana de Armas should be in a big franchise like this for a long time. And so it sort of feels like she's finally getting this chance. And people love John Wick. So a new sort of John Wick film, we're in the world of John Wick, is really, really cool. I'm surprised how high this is on the list. I mean, let's be honest here. Number 4, that's pretty high for Ballerina. I would have thought that if you honestly were going to come up with a list like this, I'd have thought that this would be a fitting number 10 on the list as far as anticipation, just considering that it's up there against all these other huge franchises. So that's really interesting. I think the film's going to be, I think it's going to be pretty good. So the film comes out June 6th. Okay, so middle of the year again. And I've seen some clips and things from the film. It looks really, really cool. I love that they're even just making this. And so this is really exciting. I think it's great. I love that there's enthusiasm for it, because if this is successful, maybe they can do more. So I think it's a great idea. This is going to be a really cool film. And yeah, there you go. Okay, now number 3, Jurassic World Rebirth. Okay, this is the one to me that came out of nowhere. Most people thought that the Jurassic World or Jurassic Park franchise was finished. I mean, it wasn't being taken seriously. It was over. It was completely done. That was it. It's like they had completely run out of ideas. They had all this money, all this stuff, and they couldn't make the movies. It's like, people just thought they're not taking it seriously. It's over. Now they're coming back with this film, Jurassic World Rebirth. So they're still sticking with World, not Jurassic Park. Now, this film is directed by Gareth Edwards. So fascinating, because he did Rogue One, hugely successful from that. He also did a recent science fiction film that was pretty good. So it's a big deal that he's doing this movie, because it means it's going to probably be pretty good. Now, the film is starring Scarlett Johansson. So you have a major movie star in this movie. And, so this is suddenly, it sort of feels like, well, hang on a minute. It looks like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World is coming back. It looks like the franchise is going to be resurrected. It's remarkable. The shifts and how things turn around is just absolutely unbelievable. So this is really exciting. I hope it's really, really good. And I hope they sort of go their own way with it. I think it's going to be really, really good. Now, it comes out July 2nd. So again, middle of the year. A lot of these movies are coming out middle of the year, but this one is very, very exciting. And I can see why it's so high here. Number 3, I mean, that's very, very exciting. I actually think I probably would have put it higher, but, there you go. Number 2 on the list is Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Now, the previous film, this is actually part of a 2-part Mission Impossible sort of film, sort of sequence that they're doing, where they did the previous film called Dead Reckoning, and now they're doing The Final Reckoning. Now, I've read that the film was originally conceived in 2 parts. So the film, they wanted to film this part sort of at the same time. They weren't able to, but it was always designed to be in 2 parts. So we're getting the second part in 2025. I think it's going to be fantastic. Tom Cruise does really, honestly, the movies he does are fantastic. And so it's really, really interesting. This comes out May 23rd, so a little bit sooner than middle of the year. And so it's going to be really fun to see. Okay, the budget also apparently is $400 million, which is a lot of money. I mean, that sounds insane. I almost think that might be a budget for the 2 films combined, because $400 million, my goodness, that's crazy. It's like $500 million, and it probably costs even more than that. So it probably is more like $500 million or even more than that. But anyway, this is going to be a really great movie, and I think that this film has really been worked on and labored over to be sort of a big finale to maybe even the whole Mission Impossible series. So this is a pretty big deal, and I'm actually surprised to see it so high on the list. I mean, second, that's crazy. There's a lot of enthusiasm for the Mission Impossible movies. I didn't think there was that much enthusiasm, but apparently there is. So absolutely amazing. So that's number 2. Number 1 is Captain America: Brave New World. Okay, now there's a lot to say about this film. This is the one that I think people thought was never going to be made, because Chris Evans not playing Captain America anymore, although apparently he is coming back. Maybe, who knows? Chris Evans has said he's going away and coming back like a million times. But anyway, they have Anthony Mackie playing Captain America. Okay, so this is a big deal. He played Falcon for a really long time, and he really was pretty good in the movies, and so it's great to see him be elevated to be Captain America. It's really interesting. I mean, number 1, as most anticipated, is a big deal. Now, here's the other thing. This film comes out in February 14th. It's like, that's pretty soon. So it's like, is it number 1 on the list because it's by far the nearest film coming out? Well, maybe, but I think that even if this film was coming out in December, there'd still be a lot of anticipation. It's a big deal that Captain America is coming back. So Captain America, number 1, I mean, that's really fascinating. I also think that, just based on what I've seen from the film, it's a totally different feeling. So I think this is going to be a really good movie. Plus, I feel like Marvel is now re-emerging. Okay, they sort of went away for a while and people were kind of upset with what they were coming out with, but this looks like it's going to maybe turn things around. So it's really interesting. For me, which film's am I most excited about? The Jurassic World film's going to be pretty cool. The Avatar film's going to be pretty cool. Superman film's going to be pretty cool. Ballerina's cool. Mission Impossible, Captain America. Yeah. I mean, that's probably how I would rank them roughly. The Jurassic World one I think I'm probably most excited to see, or Avatar, because they're sort of more science fiction. But anyway, that's the list. Fandango 2025, 9,000 people polled. Let me know what you think, or if there are films on here that you think you're more excited for. Let me know. Please like and subscribe, and you will see me again very soon. Thank you so much.